Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Now to pause and refresh. For your convenience, we have an attractive refreshment stand in the lobby with buttered popcorn, golden good and hot from the popper, your favorite candies, wholesome and rich with a flavor treat for every taste, ice cream and other good things to eat, plus delicious Coca-Cola. So bright and bracing with the tang and tingle unmatched by any other beverage. Enjoy ice-cold Coca-Cola at our refreshment stand right now.
Hey everybody, this is Taurean Smith-Partee here, formerly known as a Loud House critic. In today's video, oh boy, do I really got a great movie thoughts on one of the best anticipated movies my brother and I have been waiting to see since the beginning of this year. And before I even saw this movie, I actually watched the first one that was made back in 1996, and that film made me go into playing basketball. And now with this movie actually coming out, since they finally managed to make a sequel to it, finally, the wait has actually paid off that they were actually going to do a sequel to the first one until so many ideas were getting canceled or banned at least. And with that being said, Space Jam: A New Legacy. Holy shit. My brother was really participated for this movie, and he wouldn't even give a shit about some of these sourpuss critics about what they were going to say bad about the movie, because he has been waiting to see this one, because it was so great to actually see the Looney Tunes on the big screen again. And I'm really sorry that this one actually took a little longer than I thought, because I was supposed to do this one 2 days after when the movie got released. But I had to go back and see the movie again for a second time to actually get so much details I can pick up to it, to make sure I don't miss a single thing while I'm talking about this movie. So it's actually great to see LeBron James actually be the star of this. And I think he had a little bit more better acting skills than Michael Jordan did in the actual first Space Jam. Speaking of, let me just talk about the first Space Jam, since this is a Space Jam review. Okay, the first Space Jam I'm still in love with, because so much of it made me go in to play basketball when I was 6 years old. And I love seeing the Looney Tunes in basketball, and Michael Jordan was my idol as a young kid. And with this being said, I like so much the songs that were developed in the 90s. I swear, if you listen to any of those songs that were from the movie and listen to them in December, it will bring you back memories crying. So the first Space Jam is pretty much of a guilty pleasure for me, but then again, it wouldn't be too much of a guilty pleasure if the audience really loved this movie so badly.
Space Jam, the soundtrack, in stores now.
But then again, with Space Jam: A New Legacy, some of the animation kind of looks a little bit different with the Looney Tunes, but you know what? Somehow it's still passable. And I really appreciate the new Looney Tune voice actors, especially when you got Jeff Bergen as Bugs Bunny, Eric Bowser as Daffy Duck. Hell, they even got a new, better and improved voice for Lola Bunny. And speaking of Lola, I actually love this design of her, and I actually love her voice actors who actually played her in this movie. She isn't too much of a sex symbol in the first one, and she's not too much of a dumb ditz in the Looney Tunes show. It's pretty much balanced out, and they actually found the personality that actually matches this character. That she's not too loony as Bugs, Daffy, Porky, or anybody else. She's pretty much more affable, supportive, encouraging, and even cares about her friends. So really, she's just balanced out. The story is kind of a bit repetitive for what the first one did. And somewhat I can almost get used to that one in movies, but I'm really not used to them in the Loud House. And I really like the new team that they were going up against, the Goon Squads. Oh my gosh, were they pretty much intimidating to the Looney Tunes and LeBron. And especially when some of these are actually LeBron's friends, which is a good throwback in the first Space Jam with Michael Jordan with his best friends with Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Larry Johnson, Sean Bradley, and Muggsy Bogues. When those nerdlucks actually so much of their basketball talent, they actually become the Monstars. And seeing them in this movie a little bit was kind of pointless. As bad as the product placement in this movie, I knew we get this is a Warner Brothers movie, but they didn't have to advertise those posters and promos and those characters, everything that they did. And it was also great to actually see them play basketball against them. But all those characters from Warner Brothers, etc., like you're seeing Pennywise from It, you see the Flintstones, Yogi Bear, Space Ghost, the Iron Giant, King Kong, and this Jim Carrey's The Mask, even Warner Brothers? I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but having them in the audience was much too distracting. Like, I just couldn't focus on the game. I kind of focused on them because I was going to point out, like, look, there's Pennywise, look, there's one of the flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz, etc., etc. And I almost hate to say this, but I wish this could have been a race jam. But sadly, they had to waste that one, adding Jeff Gordon actually in that movie. And that movie I couldn't stand. The villain, Algie Rhythm, was incredible. I actually like this guy, especially when he's so much of a big threat to not just LeBron, but to the Looney Tunes, especially when you got War Machine from the Avengers actually being this guy. I actually love his motivation about why he was doing it so much, so he could be recognized and not be too much ignored. And believe me, I've actually had that kind of problem before. And I really love how the way his name is actually a pun, if you guys actually get what his name actually is. And I actually like the contrast of him and Swackhammer. I say that because Swackhammer is actually the main antagonist of Space Jam, and he was supposed to be a live action character, as well as before they even decided that he was going to be animated to save time. But Algie is actually more evil than Swackhammer, because Swackhammer always wanted Jordan and Looney Tunes to be part of attraction for his park, while Algie wants to separate LeBron from his family and trap all the viewers in his own world. And pretty much he's actually the second main antagonist to be in live action after the chairman from Looney Tunes Back in Action, and yet I couldn't stand him. I like Steve Martin, but I didn't like his character. And I have to say about LG, considering he's played by one of my favorite actors, he is considered one of the darkest Looney Tunes villains ever to date, rival against the one and only Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This one's a really good movie, but it doesn't beat the first one. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, it's kind of a mixed result to me. It felt like I was watching a whole commercial advertising throughout this movie. But I guess some of you guys can argue with me and say that Ralph Breaks the Internet did that same shit too. But let me tell you something, at least that movie knew how to stay focused on the actual two stars. Y'all can say what y'all want, but this one actually tells a story. And even if Disney wanted to show off too much of their little properties of Oh My Disney, even the Disney princesses, but somehow this movie, Space Jam, didn't care about its plot, didn't care about its character development, now that's unless you count LeBron James actually being a good father, and it didn't care so much of its sense of humor, and somewhat it kind of didn't explain too much about it. Because all these cameos and these product stuff are just a bunch of filler into this movie before they can even be ready for the big game. I know they did the same thing with the first Space Jam, but it was duplicating all these different Looney Tunes in different seatings and so much, and they all look the same. But with this first Space Jam, it wasn't too distracting. But in the New Legacy, it felt a little distracting. I almost couldn't focus on the game. That's why I went to go see it the second time. But I'm not gonna give it a bad rating because there were so many people that were so anticipating for this movie for years, even my own brother. Because whatever you see in a trailer, don't be fooled. Some looks can be deceiving as they appear to be, especially when most people clearly know that the Emoji Movie was gonna suck balls the minute they first saw the trailer. But somehow 25 years was actually the wait for this movie. But I really wish they could have actually brought some of the songs from the first Space Jam back into this one and remake them, like the Space Jam anthem theme. And I was really grateful that I actually reviewed the Loud House episode Net Games before the movie even came to theaters. And I had a little fun with that one when I was editing it and thinking of Space Jam. Oh, did I also mention that I actually love how they hand-drawn LeBron James in animation? That one was pretty much of an amazing twist. Unlike how the first Space Jam did when Michael Jordan actually first came to Looney Tune World and he was still live action instead of being hand-drawn. With this one in Space Jam New Legacy, they kind of amped their game up a little bit. So for me, with both these Space Jams I just talked about, I love the first one, but like the second one. It was kind of close to being on the same level. But somewhat, I kind of found the Looney Tunes being CGI during the basketball game a little too, okay, I don't want to say ugly, but just not quite fitting. Especially when most of them actually have eye colors, besides Tweety and Lola. I would have loved it if they were still actually hand-drawn. I know they were trying to amp things up. I know they were trying to amp their game up a bit, ironically speaking. But here's the thing, try not to update them too much. And that's saying so because they were still trying to find the right personality and trying to find the right character personality trait for Lola Bunny ever since the first Space Jam when they introduced her. But in this one, they fucking did the right thing. That's just the right Lola Bunny we deserve to have. In fact, I would actually like another Looney Tunes movie if it was Bugs, Daffy, and Lola. Other than that, players are gonna hate, but the audience are actually gonna love what they see on this screen. If you haven't seen the movie already, go check it out and let me know what you guys actually think of the movie yourself. And you'll probably get some good laughs out of it, but me, I kinda didn't laugh throughout much of the movie. But I could actually watch this movie more than the movie Old. Till then, what's up, Doc?
Well, that's all, folks.
That's my line.
Step aside, babe. Let a star do this. That's all!
That's all, folks.
Can I go home now?